Welcome to MOOC's module on Graphics and Animation Development. Topic for the session is Overview of Graphic Designing and its Applications Part 2. In this session, we will mainly focus on some of the principles of graphic designing. So the contents to be covered are balance, dominance and priority, proportion, contrast, rhythm, harmony and unity. So our first principle of graphic designing is balance. Balance refers to distribution of elements of a design throughout a layout. So it all depends upon how we are distributing the different elements in a particular graphic design. Balanced designs assures stability, and many designers also give preference to unbalanced graphic designs, which are generally used for giving dynamicity and a different perspective to the overall design. Unbalanced designs can be preferred for designing personal pages, and it is of three types: asymmetrical, symmetrical and radial. The first one out of these, symmetrical balance. It means that both sides of a design are same in terms of shape, line, texture and along a vertical or horizontal axis or both. So when we are talking about symmetrical balance, it means we are trying to maintain balance between different graphical elements along either vertical axis or horizontal axis and sometimes along both the axes. So in design, asymmetry is closely related to balance also. In these two images, we can see good example of maintenance of different graphic elements along the vertical axis, as in the case of clocks graphics, and along the vertical axis again in the first figure. So in these graphics, we can see a very good example of how different graphic elements can be arranged along the vertical axis and horizontal axis. The next kind of balance is asymmetrical balance. Asymmetrical balance refers to a website with dissimilarities between the two sides. So in the given figure on this slide, we can see that the overall web page is designed in such a manner that different graphical elements doesn't seem to be balanced in the overall layout. So these kind of graphic elements are sometimes similar also. This style of designing is highly popular among the graphic designers. The third one is radius balance. The radius balance means that we place the different graphic elements in a circular pattern, and it is used for giving a sense of dynamism and movement. But it is comparatively difficult to design on the part of graphic design. The second principle of graphic designing is dominance and priority. The dominance level refers to how to prioritize the different graphical elements depending upon their significance or importance. So we do have several graphic elements like menus, content, logo or footer, and generally we classify them as three main levels of priority. Headline or call to action is generally considered as primary element, and the images which are being used for navigation are considered at the secondary element. Tertiary elements like meta information on blogs, footer links or other different elements are used quite frequently for completing the design by offering the various information. The next principle of graphic designing is related to proportion. How much proportion is to be allocated to different graphical elements. Proportion refers to size relationship between different elements, and it has a strong effect on the users and helps in putting the emphasis on certain elements. Dominance, priority and proportion. If we combine together all these three things, then we can create a overall design with better impact. And it also gives more visibility to certain graphic element. So in this example of home page, we can see that the image of a woman with child is getting attention of the user as compared to the another text element which is also present on the home page. So in this manner, if we are giving more proportion to a specific graphic elements, user attention is directly attracted towards that. Next element is related to contrast. So this also is one of the important principle, you can say, for graphic designing. It is considered to be important principle for graphic designing in case of any graphics for print, or it can also be considered as important principle for designing a website or any visual art. High contrast between elements is helpful in distinguishing different elements in overall design. And on the other hand, minimal contrast between the elements helps the designers to blend them together. So it is our choice whether we want a high contrast between the graphic elements or we want a low contrast between the graphic elements. Both kind of things are used for different kind of output. As balance is created through lines and shapes, the use of typography, color and texture, these three things and some additional elements can be utilized for establishing a better contrast between the different elements. In these two examples, we can see how beautifully by making use of color and text size we have created a good contrast. So in the first figure, we are seeing that black is the background, and on black background a text with white and blue color is used in different sizes in order to create a good contrast and for creating a better visual impact. The next one is rhythm. The principle of rhythm is helpful in directing the movement of human eye from one part of the graphic element to another. So in the overall design, sometimes it is very essential to maintain a rhythm or a flow between the eye movement. Rhythm is classified as either fluid or progressive. The first type of rhythm is best demonstrated using the example of water flow, in which it flows or moves in the same direction, but it differs in the way it moves. Whereas in the case of progressive rhythm, we mean that the human eye is guided to move between the different graphic elements in a particular sequence. So here the sequence is quite important when we talk about progressive rhythm. Next principle is harmony and unity. So by placing certain set of graphic elements together without any proper linking between them doesn't refer to a very good graphic design. But if all the elements are working together smoothly, properly, effectively, then it means that we are able to maintain good unity among the various components of the overall design. And if the website is easy to the eye in terms of color and contrast, it offers a very good user experience through proper navigation, then such kind of design is referring to the concept of harmony. So harmony as well as unity, these are very important and essential for making an overall good design. So if we are compromising on all these things, then it means we are just ignoring the important aspects of graphic design. So in this session, we have covered some of the basic principles of graphic designing. Further, the learner can go to the web reference given here and they can know in detail about how these different principles of graphic designing can be applied while designing a particular graphics. Thank you.